makes me wonder who you think you're playing with. I'ma tell myself to keep playing this, ain't turning back over and over again.
What's up, Chris? It's your girl Jay, and as you read by the title, today is going to be episode 2 of Pillow Talk. And let me just say to the people that actually watch me regularly, I'm sorry that episode 1 was 3 months ago. Time moves fast when you're trying to get your shit together, so please forgive me in advance. Sometimes your girl just forget I got a whole degree in psychology and I got to drop some deals for y'all. Sometimes I be forgetting that I'm wise because of what I be going through myself. But I can't do that. And I told myself in 2026, I'm gonna all gas, no brakes, go for everything I deserve and use my potential. So that's what we're here doing. But let's get into the topic for today. But first off, before we get into the tea, Pete my retwist. My girlfriend ate that. She ate that little one thing. And shout out to her for my robe. To her to give me some more so y'all don't have to keep seeing this pink one. But anywho, today we're gonna be talking about recognizing triggers and how to heal them. And just being in your 20s, you're having to navigate so much trauma and so many pre-existing beliefs that were instilled into you that really has nothing to do with you. So I just thought this would be a good topic to talk about because like the word triggered is so overused. Like, oh, you triggered me. I was just triggered. Like that wasn't me. I was triggered. But like what really is a trigger? So let's get into that first. I'm not gonna be doing like a by the book definition, but to me, a trigger is a place, a song, a item, a certain topic that can be brought up and just instantly like give you that. Like what? Like some people get triggered and cry. Some people get triggered and get angry. Some people get triggered and run. And I can't say from personal experience I've been all of those things. So, um, it's very important to heal your triggers, in my opinion, because healing that trigger takes away the power from whatever traumatic event or whatever situation in your past made this certain thing so heavy on you. So I'm going to cover one thing that was a trigger for me and talk about what I feel like I did to make it a little bit easier on me. Okay, one trigger that I had for a long time that I carried heavy with me was like I was always the friend that people came to for advice or like, oh, I need to know what to do in this situation. Like, you've been here, like, let me know something. Then I would give them advice. They would proceed to do whatever they wanted to do. And then when the outcome of that was negative, they would come back to me and be like, oh, sis, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what happened, da da da. And for a long time, I was a people pleaser. So we're going to get back into the trigger and get back to the people pleaser part. So long story short, I got to the point where I feel like I didn't realize the power my words held because I had so many people around me that would listen to my advice or hear what I had to say and still go and do whatever they wanted to do, regardless of how that mentally affected me as their friend. So for a long time, I feel like I didn't realize the power of my words really held because I was like, well, dang, clearly my words ain't doing nothing. Clearly my words don't mean a thing. So for so long, I feel like I let people talk to me in the kind of way because it's like not only did I feel like what I had to say didn't matter, I felt like other people were just saying things out of emotion or other people were just saying things that they didn't mean. When in reality, your words hold a lot of power and let you know where a person's heart is. But the deeper root of that trigger was the fact that like in life, I just dealt with a lot of people that I feel like made me feel like the things that I wanted to talk about or the things that mattered to me were not important. So, of course, when it came time to make these friends and make these connections romantically, I ran into a lot of people that didn't really care to hear what I had to say because that's what I was used to dealing with. You get what I'm saying? And that's not blaming any past friends if y'all watch this. I love y'all down. Like I've actually healed a lot of my friend trauma and had a lot of conversations with people that I was friends with in the past, but not the point. I will say like that's one thing that used to trigger me. Like, and not only would they not take my advice, they would come back to me once they finally were ready to stand on what I was telling them or do what I feel like they should have did a long time ago and be like, oh yeah, and I figured out that I want to do this, this, and this. Like they would come to me with it like it was some new idea, and I would just be like, I told you that 3 months ago, boo. Like, and it really used to make me feel shitty because it's like, okay, you trust me enough to come to me for advice, but not enough to actually do what I'm advising you to do. But at the same time, that's a part of life. And I learned to heal that trigger by just understanding you have to give people grace. Just because in that moment you feel like what you told them was correct and that's how they should have moved, if they didn't feel like that's how they wanted to go about things, you can't be mad. We all have to give people the ability to be who they are and make their own decisions. But what I will say is, moving forward, I'm not a people pleaser. I don't allow a lot of people in my corner that just continuously do the same things and expect a different outcome, because that's literally the definition of insanity. And I don't need you around me going insane because I'm not going insane. You get what I'm saying? So that's just a little start off point by me pointing out one of my own triggers and what I did to work on it, like a solution. And of course, yes, I still struggle with it. I'm not just going to sit here and say, like, oh, it's perfect, but I don't just get angry, block, oh girl, stop talking to me the way I used to. So yeah, let's move forward and talk about ways that I feel like are good for healing triggers. Okay, and another big part of this for me is like you need to recognize your triggers and know what your triggers are so that you can get the people out of your circle or away from you that purposely poke at them or know that certain things are your trigger but continue to keep you in that space where you having to tell them like, hey, when you do this hurts my feelings. When you do this makes me feel shitty. Like, you shouldn't have anybody around you that is constantly putting you in a position where you're having to explain why certain stuff hurts your feelings, or why you don't want them to do this, or why you don't want them to say that. You know what I'm saying? And it is certain triggers that can be a little bit like, like let's say it's a song and you tell your partner, oh, I don't like listen to this song because it reminds me of when I went through this, and this, and they still like play the song. I can kind of have some grace with stuff like that, but like if it's deep stuff like, oh, I don't want to be touched like this, I don't want to be talked to like this, and you're steadily having to repeat yourself and tell somebody like, hey, this is hurting me, you need to cut them loose. Cut them loose. I don't know if that sounds good in this mic. Mariah Carey. Anywho, on a serious note though, one of the first things that I feel like really helped me to recognize my triggers was like journaling. And I know y'all probably be like, girl, every mental health video you talk about journaling, but it really does help y'all. Like literally one day I sat down and I looked back at so many of my journal entries and I was like, okay, this day, this made me angry. This day I was upset about this. But why was I upset about this? Like one thing about it, if you really want to understand what triggers you, you have to be okay with validating your own emotions. Like for the longest, I couldn't heal from certain things in certain situations because I just kept telling myself like, oh, I had no right to be angry. Like I didn't have any reason to act like that. When in reality, I did, but at the same time, I can't control other people's actions, but I can control my own reactions. I can control how I let people get me out of character, or how I can let people make me sabotage what I have going on by just, I ain't gonna say throwing my life away, but with certain things, a person can trigger you to the point where you lose your mind, you end up in jail, you end up just in a terrible situation, all because you had people around you that didn't respect what you had been through. You get what I'm saying? So I would say journal. Write down the things in the day that made you happy. Write down the things in the day that made you upset. Because I really feel like a big part of being triggered is like not being willing to face the emotions and understand like why something is bothering you so bad. And that doesn't mean that a trigger is gonna go away 100%. Like that's really not promised. Like if I'm being 100% honest, like regardless of the therapy and everything like that, I don't really feel like triggers go away. You just learn how to deal with them in a more healthy way. And you also learn how to set better boundaries, because nobody can really trigger you if you put up the right boundaries with people. Like for example, like I said earlier in the video, I had an issue when not feeling listened to. If I'm talking to a friend and I realize like, hey, they're more so listening to respond but not listening to understand me, I'll point that out. I'll be like, hey, by your response, I can tell you're not really listening to what I'm saying. Like, do you want to just talk about this later, or are you busy? Can you even talk? Like, I'm very vocal with how stuff makes me feel, and I don't run from stuff, because one thing you don't want to do is just think that everybody's intentions are the same when they do trigger you and just cut people out your life automatically. Because sometimes people really do just have to do inner work and they're not on the same level as you and they're not doing stuff to purposely hurt you, if you get what I'm saying. So that's one thing that I would say helped me to recognize a lot of things that rubbed me wrong and, you know, just didn't sit right with me. I hope I'm making sense, y'all, because I just be yapping to the camera. Like sometimes I need a good yap and like I just got to y'all. But another thing that I feel like helps with being triggered is learning breathing techniques. Like, for example, I kind of deal with anxiety. Like, if I'm in big crowds or I'm in a setting where it's like, okay, this person don't like this person, and this person got tension with this person, and I don't like, life just happens sometimes. You be around people you don't want to be around. When I get anxious, I because the first thing that lets me know I'm anxious is my stomach hurts and my heart start beating on my chest. So if I control that breathing, calm that heart rate down, let my body know, like, no, we're not in survival mode. No, we're not gonna drag her across the table. Like, no, not literally. I'm not violent, but no, this is not gonna go bad. You're telling yourself in your mind, like, that's another thing. Getting control of your mind is so important. Like, I could literally be doing a workout and I'm tired as hell, but I'm just in my head saying, I'm the baddest. I'm gonna be fit. I'm gonna be toned. I'm gonna get through this. I'm a queen. I just tell myself that nothing can't fuck with me because in reality, nothing can. In real, nothing can because I'm on my own journey. I'm my own person. Nobody's Jade. So it's just like you really have to have that mindset of like knowing I'm not letting them bother me. I'm not going to continue to let people have control over my mind. I'm not going to let people have control over my emotions. And another thing is, if you don't respect your own triggers or you don't address them, you really can't expect other people to, which is why I feel like healing is so important. If you express a trigger to somebody, but in the same breath, you let them walk all over you or talk down on it or tell you, like, oh, that's not a big deal. I don't even understand why you still worried about that, why you still carrying that. That can really mess up your progress and mess up what you have going on. So, yeah, you just have to be careful of invalidating your own feelings and also letting other people invalidate your feelings. Talk about me. I had to move angles. Sitting like that was not comfortable. But anywho, another thing I would say that helps a lot with healing your triggers is forgiving the people that made them triggers. Like, if you never take the time to look back on whatever traumatic event made this be so deep for you and just say, you know what? You might not even deserve my forgiveness, but I forgive you for me. I forgive you because I know I didn't deserve that. I know that I don't have to carry this with me any further. I know that I'm good enough. I know that I'm a child of God. And I know that even though I went through this does not define me. Then I feel like that's just so much power in itself. Like, looking back on so many situations, it's just like we hang on to them because it's like, I never would have did them like that. I didn't deserve that. Everything happens for a reason, but why did that need to happen to me? But at the end of the day, why not you? Like, it's a song, I believe it's by Tasha Cobbs. I don't know for sure. But it's called Why Not Me? And it's just very deep for me because it's just like we spend so much time looking at the bad things that happen in our life. And I'm not at all saying, oh, good people should have to go through bad things all the time. You human. That's not right. But why not you? Why not let God test you? Why not God let God build you up? Why not let God build this beautiful story so that all this sadness, all this depression, all this abuse that you dealt with can build you into the person that He wants for you to be so that you can have the boundaries that you need to have a beautiful adulthood. It's so many people that because they never took a chance to just sit down and heal from the stuff that happened to them, they're bitter, they're angry, they're this, they're that. And it's just like, you cannot let your mistakes or let the people that walked all over you define you. You can't walk around with a chip on your shoulder all the time, especially in a world that is just so cancel culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't want to understand your triggers. People don't want to understand what happened to you. They just see, oh, she's rude. Oh, she's guarded. Oh, she's this. So, like, the last thing you want to do is like ruin your reputation or ruin having the image of who God made you to be by just carrying so much weight on you that really He intended to carry for us. If you get what I'm saying. Like, I hope I expressed that right, but like, yeah. The last point I want to make in this video before I wrap up is understand that, like, yes, mental health is real, but it's also our duty and our responsibility to heal our minds and stop allowing us to overthink ourselves into literal chaos. Like, you can create so much in your mind that's not even reality and drive yourself crazy and let stuff trigger you, but at the end of the day, it's not getting you anywhere. It's not helping your situation. it's not hurting the other person. So it's just like sometimes in life we have to look at that trigger and say, okay, I let you have so much power over my emotions for so long. For what? What did I gain from it? A few crash outs? Lost some friends? Like at the end of the day, I look at triggers and I say, okay, you're bothering me and ouch, that hurts. And it's okay for me to let other people know in my life that it hurts, but it's also my responsibility to heal it so that I don't bleed on people that aren't even trying to cut me. Because for so long I used to be the type of person that was so easily offended, and I still catch myself be like that sometimes, like, oh, they did that on purpose. Oh, they knew that would hurt my feelings, but they didn't take me into consideration. Oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But sometimes you really have to sit back and realize, like, hey, I'm just triggered. Everybody's not out to get me. People aren't trying to do stuff purposely to hurt my feelings, and that's not to say don't trust your intuition. Because if you really feel something in your gut, you know the difference between, oh, I'm making up stuff in my head and this is like a scenario, and oh, this is my gut telling me like this person ain't no good. But long story short, man, don't give power to BS. Our emotions are very important. We're human. I'm not at all saying ignore your feelings. Don't allow your emotions to be felt all the way through, because that's important. But you can't always let your emotions take the front seat in your life, because impulse and emotions are not always logical. And sometimes the way you may feel like handling a situation in the moment of being upset is not really what you want to have on your name or what you want to have on your reputation for life. You get what I'm saying? It's been so many people, because they were triggered, they threw away their career, they threw away their life, they ruined their marriage. You know what I'm saying? You have got to I sound like Marcus, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you really have got to understand that, like, in order to grow and in order to be at your full potential, you have to let the triggers take the back seat and let God be in the front. Like, you have to let who you know you can be so 100% in your brain that you don't even want to worry about what bothers you then, or worry about what, oh, this, and this happened. Yes, sit down and heal it, but don't keep picking it back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we let our baggage just be so heavy on us that even when we have gone through the process of letting it go, it always has to be the topic of discussion. Or it always has to be, oh, woe is me. Like, I had to do all this work and I'm still da da da. You're healed. Claim that you're healed. You're okay. You made it through that for a reason. God doesn't keep people on this earth that He has no purpose for. So I hope this was somewhat encouraging. I hope that everybody got something from this, because towards the end I was just rambling. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Baby, I wanna build this love and everything you own.